today we are joined by Gator Care's Dana Gardner. Dana is a wellness educator and registered dietitian, so she's going to speak today about why nutrition is important and how you can fuel your life with good, nutritious choices. So before we get started, I just want to go over a little bit of housekeeping. So this video is being recorded. It'll be available on the UF at Work YouTube channel as well as the Work Life at UF website in the coming weeks. That being said, if you want to turn off your camera, that's perfectly fine. No one's gonna be upset with you. You can turn that off. We also do ask that everyone remain muted throughout the presentation to avoid any accidental interruptions. We will have a more formal Q&A at the end of the presentation. If you'd like to put your questions in the chat, you're welcome to, so you don't forget them, and we'll make sure we circle back to those at the end. But other than that, I believe that's all I have, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Dana. Dana, thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you, Jordan, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And thank you all for joining us today during your lunch hour, which is very appropriate as we speak about why nutrition is important. And I'm going through the agenda and our introduction, I would love for you all, if you would like to put your why in the chat box. Why is nutrition important to you? We will be going over today why nutrition is important overall, the major food groups, key nutrients in aging, building a balanced plate, healthy eating tips, tips for eating on a budget, and debunking myths. So, why is nutrition important? It helps to maintain strength and independence. As we know, as we age, we still want to be as independent as possible. And making sure that we're doing right for our bodies in our 30s and our 40s, even our 50s, can help make sure that we maintain independence. Good nutrition also supports immune system and healing. Having a variety of fruits, vegetables, proteins can all aid in healing and supporting our immune system. So if we do get sick, a little cold, a little flu, we're able to bounce back a little quicker than maybe others. And nutrition is important because it also improves energy and concentration. I know sometimes we reach for the caffeine or the Coke just to make sure that we are energized and can stay focused, but some of our foods can also provide us with that same energy and concentration. It can also help manage conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. Food is truly medicine, especially in the later years of life. So, again, we want to make sure that we are fueling our bodies now. So, when we get to that good golden age, we are still able to go to the beach, swim, boat, golf, dance. So, right now, we are preparing our bodies for those good things. So, let's talk about some of the major food groups, which are the building blocks to a healthy diet. First, we have fruits and vegetables, which provide us vitamins, minerals, and fiber. Then we have our grains, great energy source and source of fiber. Next, we have protein, which is important for building and repairing tissue. Then our dairy, calcium, and vitamin D for our strong bones. And lastly, some healthy fats for our energy and cell function. Over the next few slides, we'll be going a little bit more in depth into these food groups. So, the importance of fruits and vegetables, the power of produce. You want to make sure that you're aiming for a variety of colors to get a range of nutrients. So, some of your red fruits and vegetables like tomatoes and berries, they can provide anti-cancer nutrients, polyphenols, and phytochemicals. Your green leafies can provide you with calcium and potassium, those things that help with neuron production as well as keeping bones healthy. So when we talk about fresh fruits and vegetables, we want to make sure that we are still respecting the nutrients that frozen and canned options can also provide. Frozen vegetables, when they're just the product, just corn, just strawberries, just broccoli, provide the same nutrients as the fresh counterpart. There is a slight difference. With frozen fruit, you're able to kind of retain a little bit more of those nutrients versus fresh. Because as fresh fruit begins to ripen, some of the nutrients start to diminish and decrease. Whereas frozen, it helps keep it in that state. So you retain just a little bit more percentage of those nutrients. If canned options are your go-to and they're the most affordable option right now, you want to make sure you're doing things that are choosing those things that are lower sodium, lower added sugar, and things like your fruit. You want it in its own water or its own juice or packed in water. Again, these fruits and vegetables provide an array of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and fiber that again help with decrease the risk of chronic disease and help keep our body overall healthy. Next up, we want to understand whole grains. We know that sometimes carbohydrates are lumped in just one big bucket, but when we understand there's a source of grains that we need to consume daily to support health, we're able to understand those things better and build a better plate. So, whole grains versus refined carbs. Unrefined whole grains, such as brown rice, whole wheat pastas, retain many of the vital nutrients and are rich in fiber, which supports digestive health. Eating fiber helps you feel full, so you're less likely to overeat these foods or other foods. Therefore, these whole grains actually play a role in weight maintenance as well. Then we look at refined grains, such as white flour and white rice, that have been processed, which have removed many of those beneficial nutrients as well as dietary fiber. Many foods containing refined grains like vitamin B and other nutrients unless they are enriched. So you're looking at a refined grain or carbohydrate, you want to make sure that it's still enriched, which means that they put some, not all, of some of those important nutrients back into the product. In all, we should focus on consuming whole grains most of the time while still allowing ourselves a sweet treat every once in a while. Protein power. Protein is one of the most important nutrients, especially as we age and as we're working. It helps prevent muscle loss, which naturally happens as we age. It also helps support healing and keeps our immune system strong. Typically, we connect protein to muscle, but it is also a great component for our immune system as well. Some great sources of lean protein, animal based, are lean meats such as poultry, lean beef, fish, eggs, and dairy. There are also some great plant-based protein, such as beans, lentils, tofu, nuts, and seeds. So now a lot of people are doing a little bit more meatless meals, but they're maybe concerned with getting their protein in. But just remember, having beans, lentils, snacks such as nuts and seeds can also help you boost your protein profile. Now let's look at some of these healthy fats. Not all fats are created equally. We want to make sure that we are consuming more of our healthy fats, which are those unsaturated fats that support heart health. Some examples of those are avocados, olive oils, nuts. You can see the coconut in there too. So you want to make sure that you are consuming those things a little bit more often. Then you want to limit some of the saturated fats. These saturated fats can raise cholesterol levels. So some things such as red meats or full fat dairies, even though they still have a place in our meals, just want to make sure that you're doing those less often. And if at all possible, you want to avoid trans fat. Those are harmful to overall health. So, what are some sources of trans fat? We typically see those in highly processed foods and fried foods and some of our pastries, such as cakes, cookies, all those good things that we like to enjoy and indulge in often. Some other key nutrients you want to make sure that you are consuming on a daily basis. One, calcium can be found in an array of dairy foods such as milk, cheese, yogurt. You can also find them in leafy greens such as kale, bok choy, and collard greens. Calcium can also be found in fortified foods such as juices, plant-based milks, and cereals, as well as tofu. Fish is also a great source of calcium. You want to look for those with edible bones, such as sardines and salmon. Lastly, nuts, seeds, and legumes can also be a great source of calcium. Another key nutrient is vitamin D. You can get vitamin D from safe sun exposure, increased consumption of fatty fish, trout, mackerel, sardines, fish liver oils, egg yolks, liver, and again, other fortified products. Fiber. We talked about those when we talked about our whole grains and carbohydrates. So again, whole grain breads, oats, nuts, seeds, beans, vegetables, and fruits are going to be a great source of fiber. Most of the time, we want to aim for 25 grams of fiber per day. Vitamin B12. The foods highest in vitamin B12 are animal-based like clams, liver, and kidneys. They offer massive amounts, often thousands of percent of the daily value. Other excellent sources include salmon, tuna, sardines, oysters, eggs, and dairy. For vegans, fortified cereals, plant-based milks, and nutritional yeast are also important sources. Vitamin D, as we age and also as we're working all day, is a very important nutrient as it helps boost the metabolism of carbohydrates, which helps us convert that into energy. So we maybe sometimes feel a little sluggish or feel like you don't have that much energy. Take a look at your vitamin D or vitamin B12 levels. Lastly, fluids is another key nutrient we want to make sure. We want to make sure that we're staying hydrated with water or low-fat dairy and unsweetened teas. These are great sources. So we've looked at all of the food groups. So how do we build a healthy plate? One of the easiest ways to eat healthier is to think about how you are going to build your plate. It is recommended that half the plate should be fruits and vegetables. One quarter should be lean protein. The other quarter should be whole grains. This method helps keep meals balanced without counting calories or following strict rules. And again, you can, as you can see on the plate, fruits as well can be added. Make the most of your meals with vegetables and fruit. Aim for half of that. Again, we talked about making sure that we're having a variety of colors and types. And remember that potatoes don't count as a vegetable on the healthy eating plate because of their impact on blood sugar. But again, your other vegetables, such as carrots, onions, bok choy, radishes, mushrooms, those things can still be a part of that healthy plate. Next, go for whole grains. Aim for 1/4 of your plate to have whole and impact grains. Again, great examples are whole wheat products, barley, quinoa, oats, and brown rice. You can also do things such as whole wheat pastas. These items have a milder impact on blood sugar and insulin versus white or refined grains that have a larger impact on your blood glucose. Even if you don't have any issues with your blood sugars, or even you're not pre-diabetic or diabetic, still monitoring the impact of your blood sugar and insulin levels will be beneficial for you and longevity. When we talk about fruits, again, you want to eat the rainbow. Enjoy fruits of all different colors as they all provide an array of nutrients that impact overall health. For example, Red fruits such as grapes and strawberries provide lycopenes, which can help reduce the risk of some cancers and also help support urinary health. Blue and purple fruits, such as blueberries and blackberries, can provide nutrients that help promote healthy aging and lower inflammation. Healthy plant oils, as we saw in the other slide, that your unsaturated fats are going to be healthy for inflammation. Choosing the healthy vegetable oils like olive oil, canola, soy, sunflower, and others will have a healthy impact on your body. You want to avoid partially hydrogenated oils, which contain unhealthy trans fats. But also, remember that low fat does not always mean healthy. You want to make sure that you're still looking at the labels and ingredients to see how much sugar it contains, cholesterol, sodium, and to see if it has other nutrients in it, like vitamins A, D, fiber, and its protein content. So, just talked a little bit about reading those food labels and what we really want to look for. You want to look at serving sizes. You want to see how much vitamins and minerals this product is containing. Look at the calories and how it relates to the other nutrients. Is this product full of fat? Is most of the calories coming from fat? Most of the calories coming from fiber? Most of the calories coming from added sugar? You want to make sure that you're looking at all of these elements, not just one. One item won't make the product as the best choice. You want to look at it in all and see exactly what you're getting from there. When it comes to the ingredient list, ingredients are listed in descending order by weight. So, if you're looking at a product and the first word is high fructose corn syrup, typically that product is going to be mostly that product. If you're looking at a product and the first word is whole grains, that product is probably going to be a great source of of fiber. Lastly, look at the health claims. Some labels make claims about health benefits such as heart healthy, high in fiber, but you still want to be cautious of those and read the labels. Something high fiber can still have some added sugar in it. Something heart healthy can also still have high sugar in it or be a low protein product. So again, don't just take those health claims at their word. Make sure that you are reviewing the label deeper. So, what are some tips for healthy eating? Remember, small steps can lead to big changes. Try cooking at home or at least preparing meals at home more often. This way, you control your ingredients, portion sizes, and potentially lower costs. Plan ahead. Meal planning can save time, reduce stress, and promote healthier choices. Before you go to the grocery store, make sure you're looking at your refrigerator in your pantry. Avoid trying to avoid buying duplicates or making sure that you're actually using those things that's actually in your pantry. Make it a game. Pull out something and say, hey, you know what? This is almost coming up on its due date, expiration date. Maybe I can find a fun recipe that I can use to actually utilize it instead of discarding it. You want to eat mindfully. The importance of mindful eating is being attentive to hunger cues and what and how much we're eating. You may just want to avoid distractions. Maybe not have the cell phone. Maybe not sit in front of the TV. Those mindless things can make it that we are distracted from our hunger cues. Control portion sizes. Some people use a smaller plate. Some use measuring cups. Some use scales. Some people use the exact same plate, so they know exactly what that portion looks like every time on that plate. There are also great lunch to go boxes where they're already portioned out. So you can easily identify which section to put your protein in versus your grains versus your fruits and vegetables. Lastly, you want to limit processed foods, sugary drinks, and unhealthy snacks. So again, it says a limit, not avoid. Again, you want to still build your healthy plate with the occasional treats in there. But as a whole, you want to avoid those foods that have a negative impact on health. Those foods are typically higher in calories, unhealthy fats, added sugar, and sodium, and don't provide you with the vitamins and minerals that your body needs to repair and remain healthy. So, some other tips again, limiting fried foods, trying to limit high sodium meals, or using salt even after you cook. Try to use herbs instead of sodium. Lemons, limes, basil, rosemary. Try to play with these flavors until you find one that you really, really like. Choose leaner meats more often. Again, the occasional steak, ribeye is fine, but if you really are trying to move into a healthier eating pattern, choosing lean turkey, lean chicken, or fish more often is going to be more beneficial to your body. And again, eating fish at least twice a week so you can get those healthy unsaturated fatty acids. And remember, still some calcium in there too will be a great benefit as well. With everything becoming so expensive now, we want to make sure that we're eating healthy on a budget. It doesn't have to break the bank. So when buying healthy foods, try to buy seasonal. Seasonal produce are typically in larger amounts, and grocery stores like to push them out to make sure they don't go bad. So they typically put those on sale. You may have noticed lately strawberries are plenty, and I think at Freshfield Farms they have them for five, and Publix had them buy one get one free because they have such a great amount of them. They want to make sure they're getting them out. So make sure that you're buying in season so you get the best bang for your buck. And typically, when you buy in season, you have better flavor profile as well. Cook larger quantities and freeze leftovers. Sometimes we'll cook and you say, "Oh, I don't want any more," and we'll throw it away. But if we pack those things up in a week or two, they can be an easy grab and go meal for lunch or late night dinner when you don't feel like cooking. Next, it's okay to choose a generic brand. Typically, those generic brands have similar nutrition value. The difference between most of them is maybe sometimes the quality of the foods and herbs they may use, but when it comes down to nutritional value, they're typically neck and neck. Prioritizing whole grains, legumes, and vegetables typically are lower and they're more shelf stable, especially the whole grains and legumes. So try to have those as much as possible during the week. Lastly, limiting eating out. The goal of restaurants are to make money. So they are definitely going to charge you. And again, it's all about a plan. If you've done well the whole week and you want to treat yourself on a Friday, that's great. So again, just making sure that we are balancing these things out to make sure that we don't break the bank. Next, let's look at some myths that we may have come across. So, debunking some food myths, you want to separate the fact from fiction. Remember, we already talked about low fat doesn't always mean healthy. Continue to look at the nutrient ingredients list to make sure that that product is still low in added sugar, sodium, and other unhealthy ingredients. I hear this a lot. Do I need to detox? The body has its own detoxification system. It is the liver and kidneys. As long as you're feeding your liver and kidneys with great protein, fruits, vegetables, antioxidants, and inflammation, this will allow it to work at its optimal level. So when the kidneys and liver are working at optimal level, they will do its job and they will do it very well. Next common myth, carbs are the enemy. No, again, we want to make sure that we are making the difference between healthier carbs and carbs that we should not eat often. So again, we want to make sure that we're focusing on our whole grains most of the time, fruits and vegetables, while limiting some of the other refined carbohydrates such as cakes, cookies, and refined carbohydrates. Lastly, all calories are created equal. The source of calories matter. So calories from whole foods are definitely going to be more nutritious and satisfying than those calories from processed food. So you think about how much you're getting from this calorie. You can have 100 calories worth of vitamin A, B, protein, and fiber, or you can have 100 calories worth of added sugar. Which one do we think our body would benefit more from? So healthy snack ideas. Sometimes, especially in healthcare, we're running from A to B, and sometimes we just don't have a time to have a whole lunch or breakfast. So even keeping some grab and go snacks at your desk, yogurt with fruit, cheese and whole grain crackers, apple or bananas with nut butters, hard-boiled eggs, hummus with veggies are good quick snacks that can give you a lot of protein, fiber, and other minerals. When listening to your body, take note so you can determine when to seek additional help. Some signs that may warrant reaching out to your doctor include unplanned and significant weight loss, typically greater than 5% of your total body weight within 6 months. If you have poor or worsening appetite, or if you're feeling fuller, even if you're eating smaller amounts, you may also want to seek attention from your healthcare provider. Next, if you have difficulty chewing or swallowing, difficulty could come from ill-fitted dentures, teeth shifting, and swallowing could be also something that comes from aging, or it could be something else. So you just want to make sure if you're increasingly having trouble swallowing a certain texture or even some liquids, definitely reach out to your healthcare provider. Another note is to look at bowel habit changes. It can come in the form of changes in frequency and also consistency of stool. Lastly, if you find yourself unable to keep your balance or falling more often, you may want to also reach out to your doctor. So, your path to a healthier you, you want to embrace the journey. Remember, adopting a healthy lifestyle is a process, not a destination. It's all about making gradual changes and developing sustainable habits that become part of your daily life. Remember, this is not going to be about perfection. We want to focus more on consistency. Your body will thank you for it later. So I thank you for your time and attention, and I hope that you all enjoyed the presentation. And Jordan, do we have any questions? Yeah, and feel free to drop any of those in the chat, and I will start try to get back to that chat. One moment.
I can help you and read some out as
Okay,
well.
thank you.
So we have one from Vincent. It says it seems
Hey,
kind of
Vincent.
difficult to find a dietitian nutritionist that I can meet with in person through insurance websites.
Mhm.
Is that the case with most, or am I doing something wrong?
So no, it is very hard for dietitians to be credentialed through a lot of healthcare, insurance companies. But the great thing with UF Health and Gator Care is that you can see me for free. Now, I am located in Jacksonville, not sure where you are, but I do also offer virtual appointments as well via Zoom or Teams. So no, you are not doing anything wrong at all. It's just the process of credentialing can sometimes be a little difficult for dietitians and nutritionists.
And do you have any advice for people who are not Gator Care members for locating those kinds of nutrition services?
I would do it is the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. They host a list of dietitians that are able to see clients without insurance. You may be able to get a nutritionist, dietitian to answer you quicker if you go through their private practice. And again, a quick Google search will also help. And the Florida Department of Health also regulates our licenses. So you can also find licensed dietitians on that website too. Just in case you may have come across someone via Google search and you just want to make sure that they are licensed and credentialed, you can find us on that website as well. You have a name, you can type it in, and it will show you if our license is active and we are able to work in the state of Florida.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
We also have a question from
Yeah.
Kathy. Are protein powders considered okay to consume on a daily basis as a supplement to protein eaten via food to reach your daily protein goal and satisfy hunger?
So with protein powders, I always just recommend looking at the label. You can go as clean up as possible, making sure it doesn't have any metals in them, any of the added preservatives. any other chemicals, then yes, they are a safe option. Thing to remember about supplements, they are not regulated by the FDA. So again, they will put on the front, great for this, great for that. Just make sure that you're still reading your label. But yeah, I don't have an issue at all with protein powders as long as you're doing as clean as possible and you're using it as a supplement, meaning that you do great at getting maybe 60 or 65, but you struggle to get the last 5 or 10 grams of protein in you, then yeah, those that is perfectly fine.
Great. Someone else asked, do you mean don't use salt after the food is cooked, or that you should salt your food after it is done?
Don't salt your food. I have a slight accent, very southern. Try not to salt your food after you cook. I also recommend, if possible, not doing it while you cook. But the caveat to that, if you do use it while you cook, some of the salt is kind of cooked off. Remember, salt doesn't just come from table salt. You want to make sure you're looking at all of your seasonings. So anything that has the word salt in it, Himalayan salt, kosher salt, garlic salt, onion salt, seasoning salt, they all have sodium chloride in them, and they will all impact the body the same.
Okay. Let's see. We have one that says, I understand that brown rice falls under healthy carbs. Is it healthy to eat it every day, about half a cup every day? I'm trying to find a consistent carb to consume, and rice is just a stable and reliable food.
Yes, that is perfectly fine. Yep, I make to get my fiber in the morning. It's oatmeal every day for me. So yeah, yeah. So brown rice is definitely a go-to for you. Yep, nothing wrong with that. Yep, great source.
All right. Let's see. Next, we have, is there a rule of thumb to perhaps have a fresh salad every day? Also, is using oil vinegar a better option than salad dressings?
So is it okay? Say the first part again. Is
It
there
says,
a rule to it?
is
Is that what it
there a
said?
rule of thumb to
Mm.
perhaps have a fresh salad every day? Like, is that recommended?
So, fresh salads, you just want to make sure that you're still getting good sources of protein and fiber in those salads. So, for instance, if salad is your lunch go-to, you still want to make sure you're doing protein. So, protein could be tuna on top, chicken. If you're vegan, tofu, edamame. You still want to make sure that you have all of those elements. So, when we looked at that plate, it had the veggies, the protein, the grains. You want to make sure that your salad has that in it too, if it's going to be your main meal. If it's a side meal or side dish, then it's fine as with the veggies and everything. But if it's your main meal, you still want to make sure you're getting all of those major food groups in that salad. The vinegar and olive oil is my go-to. So yeah, thumbs up.
All right, registered dietitian approved salad dressing right there.
Approved.
All right. Next we have, is it okay to eat eggs for breakfast every day? That's a great question.
That is a great question. It's a question that I get often. And what's that's going to be is what else are we consuming with it? So again, we know that eggs are a great source of protein, but the yolk does have a little bit of that cholesterol in them and phosphorus if you have any kidney issues. So we want to make sure we're still having a good source of grains to go with it, maybe have a good source of fruit to go with it because we still want to make sure that we are able to digest the extra cholesterol and get it out of the body. So eggs by itself every day for breakfast, I probably would lean towards not so often, but if we're making sure it's a complete meal with some whole grains with it, fine.
All right. And how much water should a person drink? This person says they hear different formulas every time they do research.
Yes, yes, yes. And it's going to be dependent on, of course, if you have any kidney issues, if you're working outside more, you're sweating more, and your current weight. I typically tell clients, take your body weight, divide it by two. That is the amount of ounces you typically need. So if someone's 120 pounds, if I divide that by two, that is 60 ounces of water or fluids a day. Now, the caveat to that is you still want to make sure you're taking in account the other fluids. So if you're doing unsweet tea or, hot tea in the morning, black tea, some of your fruits such as grapes, oranges, those things that have a lot of fluid and water in them too, those things can also count towards your fluid water load too. Um, for as far as hydration, you want to make sure that you're looking for signs of dehydration or your hydration status. So looking at your urine, how often you're going, making sure that every single time you go shouldn't look like water. You still should have a little tint to it, but you also shouldn't have like a oranges, even though Go Gator, we like the color orange. Our urine should not be that all the time. All jokes aside, somebody's laughing with me. All jokes aside, yeah, you want to look for, if my mouth is continually dry, or the other end, if you're overhydrated, you may start to get kind of those shooting pains down your legs. That means we kind of washed out some of those electrolytes too. So you want to balance it. Look for signs of dehydration and overhydration and come to the middle of that.
All right. So I'm going to kind of combine these next two. So
Okay.
one person asked, do dietitians and nutritionists also give advice on vitamins, mushrooms, things like that? And then someone else asks, do vitamin supplements really work?
So the first question is yes. Again, like every dietitian has its own kind of thing that they do or expertise, but overall, yes, we do give advice on vitamins, minerals. There's a lot of supplements out there. I try to stay on top of them as much as possible, but often if we don't know one, we'll go and research it and get back to you. Do vitamins really work? The thing about vitamins is, again, they should supplement. You also want to make sure you're looking at the ingredients that's in there. Lastly, there are water-soluble vitamins and then there are fat-soluble vitamins. So if your vitamin has the fat-soluble vitamins such as A, D, E, or K, and you're not doing it consuming it in the presence of fat, or you hadn't had a meal within 2 hours that was a good source of fat, then yeah, you probably are not going to be able to metabolize those fat-soluble vitamins efficiently because again, they need to be in the presence of fat. Again, if you're dehydrated and you don't have enough water in your system, you're not going to be able to metabolize and absorb the water soluble vitamins. So, yes, that's why they're called a supplement. They're there to supplement a diet. So, do they work? Yes, but do we have to put in the work to make them work? Yes.
Great. Someone else asked, what do you think about intermittent fasting or OMAD? I'm not sure what OMAD is. OMAD?
Yeah, 1 meal a day. Um,
Gotcha.
I That's going to go back to what someone's goals are. You would definitely want to make sure that you're looking at your lab work, make sure your glucose is fine, your liver enzymes are fine, BUN, creatinine, your vitamins, calcium, vitamin D are at a good level. What intermittent fasting who I see it normally work for is are for those who don't have a real grasp on stopping to eat. They use their 24 hours to eat all 24 hours. Um, so shortening that time frame, 8 hours, allows them to be more conscious about what they're eating. The other hand, whatever, if someone ate 3,000 calories in 24 hours and then now they're only eating 8 hours and they're still eating the same amount of calories, it's null and void. So you have to use it for what your journey is. If you really like to say, hey, you know what, I feel like I'm overeating late night, I just want to cut it off, that's going to cut off maybe extra 500,000 calories, then yeah, intermittent fasting definitely works. For those, again, that constantly eat, intermittent fasting does give the body time to metabolize, rest, and reset instead of constantly trying to metabolize food. Because when body doesn't have time to reset or actively absorb foods, then you're not getting all the vitamins and minerals that your body needs to heal. 1 meal a day, again, that's going to go back to your current medical status, if you have any chronic diseases, current weight status, and what your goals are. Remember, we just talked about making sure that we get 25 grams of fiber a day. If your 1 meal a day is not hitting that, okay, we're lacking. Protein needs, they're going to range anywhere from 60 to 120, depending on your size. If that 1 meal a day is not giving you that minimum, guess what? We've missed nutrients. So again, sometimes it's not about that timing, it's about what we do within that timing. And I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you.
Okay.
So we're circling back to eggs. Got a lot of egg
Okay.
fans
Let's
here.
some eggs.
So, do you get the same benefits no matter how you cook your eggs, or does cooking it one way or another affect those nutrients?
So, like any product, the more time it spends in heat, you're going to break down nutrients. So, and again, it's going to be a small amount, but the longer that it goes, you're going to break down nutrients. So, whatever quickest kind of way that get it off the heat, you're going to retain more nutrients. Hard-boiled eggs typically stay in water, but they're in that shell, so you don't get a lot of those nutrients leaching out. Scrambled eggs, they're typically quick turnover, but with scrambled eggs, people typically use like a butter, not an olive oil. So it's again like how we're preparing things too. But with the rule of thumb is the longer that it cooks, the more likely nutrients are to be leached out. It'll never leach out to be like 100% no nutrients, but again, that's just something to keep in mind.
Okay, great. Someone asked about the recording. Yes, just as a reminder, this recording will be added to our UF at Work YouTube channel and the Work Life at UF website. It's not going to be sent directly to you, but it will be available within the next week or two. Let's see. All right. Someone asked if you have any experience consulting cancer survivors or those at risk of cancer.
Yes, yes, I do.
All right.
Hmm.
So feel free to reach out to Dana if you
Yes,
have any specific questions about that.
yeah. Hmm.
Someone else asked, is the Mediterranean way of eating the most beneficial to lowering cholesterol naturally, or do you have any other suggestions?
From research, yes, the Mediterranean way, in addition to vegetarian, those are the top two that has been shown to consistently lower cholesterol. That again, our body makes cholesterol and then we eat cholesterol. So also knowing your family history, if you have a family history of cholesterol, that's on both sides of the family. Even if people are like their body size is their normal size and they still get high cholesterol, you may have a genetic component to it. But for those who are, it kind of comes from environment, the Mediterranean diet and vegetarian. Even if you're semi-vegetarian, only maybe doing more meatless meals than you do meat meals, even that has been shown to help lower cholesterol as well.
Awesome. Someone else asked, I keep hearing cooking spinach is the best way to get nutrients. Is that true, or is raw good too?
So with spinach, you're going to have some of those nutrients come out. So a quick saute of spinach, you're probably going to retain more. But raw spinach, you're going to probably retain 100 to 99% of those nutrients. Spinach, again, you may get 93, 94 if it's cooked. It's not going to be that much, but again, the quicker you can come off that fire, the better.
Awesome. Someone asked about where the recording will be, so I'm going to go ahead and put that link in there. It'll be on our Employee Wellness Series webpage
Oh,
under
let me go back
nutrition.
because I just read it.
Yes, of course.
So with spinach, I think what you're probably hearing is if it's cooked in a cast iron skillet. And yes, it will have more nutrients because it will interact with the iron and the vitamin C that is in spinach. So yes, that is true. Yes, I was just thinking a regular pan, but I think for what y'all talking about when cooking, is if it's in like that cast iron skillet. And yes, it will retain more or absorb more nutrients from that cast iron skillet. Yes, that is true.
All right, so based on that, I actually have a personal question.
Okay.
So I know cooking with cast iron obviously can infuse more iron. I've also heard of these little iron baubles that you can put in like a regular pan while you cook. Have you have any experience with that?
I have not, but now I'm going to write it down to look it
Yeah,
up.
because
Okay.
I've heard
Okay.
that if you don't have a cast iron pan, you can put like a block of iron or like a little iron thing in there and it'll help infuse the food. So maybe that's another option if you don't have a cast
Yeah,
iron,
if
but
you don't have a
look that
cast
up.
iron, yeah, I would definitely look that up. I have not heard of that, but it sounds like what they've taken is, the elements of that cast iron skillet and put it in a block. Yes, I love it. Yes.
All right. Let's see. Someone asked, meatless meals are good. However, are there any other way food-wise to lower cholesterol?
Food wise, you want to focus more on fiber. Your fruits and vegetables, those are going to be the best. things for you to lower your cholesterol. And again, staying away from those highly processed foods that have more cholesterol in them will be beneficial.
Great.
Yep.
Someone asked about something called leptin that is bad for you in raw spinach. Is that true? Do you know anything about that?
So leptin, it's a hormone that helps to regulate energy balance, hunger, and body weight. So it should be a good thing. I have not heard of it in spinach just yet, but yeah, leptin helps to regulate um, that feeling of satiety. So if it is in spinach, then that may be actually a good thing. But I will definitely look at that connection because that was something I had not heard of leptin outside of it. Oh, oxalates. It is oxalates. Yes, oxalates. Yes, 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 yes. Oxalates can they combine calcium in the body and they can make crystals and they can lead to kidney stones. Yes.
Okay,
Yes, yes, yes. Oxalates.
heard.
But
Okay,
again, that's if you are more prone to kidney stones and again you don't have adequate hydration and the amount of spinach that you eat. But yes, that is true.
okay, perfect. Thank you for that clarification there.
Yes.
We have another question that asked, so they have a concern with kind of meatless meat. They
hmm
seem to be highly processed, so does that kind of defeat the purpose of eating that healthy food?
So with the meatless meat, yes, you definitely do have to look at the ingredients list. They have come a long way, I will say that. But yeah, that is something that you kind of want to look at. But again, eating meatless meals doesn't mean that you have to use some of those products. You can, you're looking for that texture of meat. Soy, tofu, and mushrooms can actually mimic that texture. That's what you're looking for. But no, I do agree that some of the meatless products, the crumbles and things, can be higher in sodium and added sugar. So it's going to be one of those things where you kind of have to spend a little bit more time in the grocery store to kind of look at those labels and see if it's worth it. But again, those products are just kind of one of those things that's for fun. They're not going to really give you a lot of the nutrients. It's just to kind of mimic meat if you're transitioning to more meatless meals. But again, remember like tofu, mushrooms, beans, they can still give you that kind of texture of meat. But yes, I do agree with that.
Great. One more. It looks like as someone who is sensitive to caffeine but is always tired, can you recommend any good alternative sources of energy, food or drink wise? I agree with that. I cannot have caffeine and I'm always exhausted. So,
Yeah, I too cannot. I am caffeine sensitive. So I definitely agree with that. I actually just, if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen
of
again because I
course.
actually just shared this with a client. I'm going to share this screen because I think it'll be helpful. Share. It's called it says food, the mood and food, but this will also, if you're looking at, oops, I did a little bit too much. Feeling more alert and active. So remember we talked about some of that vitamin B12 that helps convert carbohydrates down to energy and has our body help to utilize it a little bit better. Um, some of those things that you find, lean meats, eggs, soybeans, chickpeas, dal, these things can actually help with vitamin B12, which again will help with energy. Sometimes a lot of us that low energy can come from vitamin D. So I would definitely have your vitamin D checked, levels checked, and your iron checked. If those things are still fine, focus on getting more of these foods in, vitamin B12, and your whole grains too.
All right. Someone asked, what is DHAL? DHAL? I'm not sure what that is.
Done. I'm gonna bring it up. So
Perfect.
it's almost like a split pea. I'm gonna see if I can. change it this way. This is what doll looks like. You have probably had it, but did not realize what it was. But yeah, this is doll. So you can see a staple Indian dish made from dried split pulses like lentils, peas, and beans. So if you've been to any of those, yeah, it's like a lentil soup. Yes, if you've been to any Indian restaurant had any curry, this is typically what you've consumed.
Awesome,
Oh,
great.
somebody's having it for lunch today. Yay! You're
Yeah.
gonna get have some energy. You're getting your energy for lunch today.
Fantastic. All
Yes, and it
right.
does have a lot of protein. Yes, it does. Yep.
All right, well, we've got a few more minutes, so if you have any more burning questions, feel free to add them to the chat. While we're
Yes.
waiting, we actually just published a nutrition resources article, so I'm also going to add that to the chat if you guys want to look at some upcoming webinars that we have more on nutrition, some upcoming programming, as well as some resources from Gator Care, UF Health, IFIS, things like that. Those will all be in that article. Someone asked about recipes. I also put in a link as a reply to that question. The Gator Care website, they have a page with some recipes and other information on it, so I put that there. Let's see. I think that's good. We do have another nutrition webinar coming up on March 30th at noon called Cooking for a Lifetime of Cancer Prevention, specifically focusing on colorectal cancer. So if that's the topic you're interested in, I encourage you to sign up for that. That registration link is also part of that article I sent. But yeah, let's see.
And
What
I
else?
also put my email address in the chat box as well. You all can feel free. Like again, Jordan said, I am a benefit of UF Health and Gator Care. So again, these are great questions. Even if you would just have a random question, feel free to email me, or you want me to do a research or anything, or if you want me to have a counseling with me, I am more than happy to oblige and help you.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone. This is
Jenny.
great. This is great.
Awesome. All right. Well, I don't see any other questions coming in, so I think I'll go ahead and wrap us up. Just so you know, whenever this webinar ends, there's going to be a little survey pop up. If you guys wouldn't mind taking just a few minutes to fill that out, it'll help us improve our wellness and work life offerings moving forward. And once again, thank you all for joining us during your lunch hour. I hope you found this webinar helpful. I definitely did. So thank you again, Dana.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a blessed day.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.